Hello and welcome to another edition of Scorecard here on Citi TV. My name is Benjamin Nketiah. It's been an absolute blockbuster week of football, especially if you are a Premier League fan. I am just coming from the Oliver Twist Shark in Latvia, where we had a road show, and I can tell you that we witnessed a Premier League classic. That's that game between Chelsea Football Club and also Manchester City. We'll be dissecting that game right here for you on the show. There's a Liverpool game as well versus Brentford. Man United were up to their own shenanigans in their game. When you go to the Bundesliga, Harry Kane is absolutely ripping it up. The most informed forward in the world as we speak now. Barcelona still laboring to get results. For Real Madrid, they didn't have Jude Bellingham, but it did not matter. They managed to get a really comfortable result in their game. Back home in Ghana, after that presser to address poor performance of the team, Asante Kotoko are in even hotter waters. They have dropped into the relegation zone. So there's a lot to talk about. Ayew is on the move as well. A lot to consume on the show today. Stay with us here on Scorecard. Let's do a quick turnaround. When we come back, we'll get the conversation going. Welcome back to Scorecard here on Citi TV. And yesterday, we experienced some rather shocking and sad news as the Ghanaian football fraternity. Raphael Dramena, Black Stars forward, he was playing his football in Albania. He passed out and died by the time he was rushed to the hospital. Very tragic end for the footballer there, 28 years old at the time of his passing. And so we out here at Citi Sports and in the sports fraternity generally say rest in peace to Raphael Dramena. We wish that his family will stay strong in these very difficult times, very trying times for anybody. So we wish that the family will stay strong. Our condolences to his family, loved ones, and everybody out there who had something to do with him. So Raphael Dramena, you paid your dues. May your soul rest in perfect peace. On that note, I'll introduce my two good friends in the studio, Edwin Kwakofi and Coach Christopher Nimley. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Nice one, nice one. Let's start off from where the action is, and let's start off with transfer news this time around. Coach, your good friend is on the move. Andre Dede Ayew has joined Le Havre in the French League. I'm not sure what you make of that.
Look, everybody watching the show knows that I'm one of Dede Ayew's biggest critic in terms of showing him true love and to be very frank about what he does. Because at the end of the day, he's been a wonderful servant to this country. Personally, I don't see why at his age he's struggling to get a team, and then more or less when he gets the team, why he's not been able to command a regular position, looking at the quality he's got. The one thing that simply tells me is that he's been around for a very long time. It's long overdue that he needed to play. And he needed to attach himself to a football club to be able to play active football if he wants to give himself any chance whatsoever of representing the Black Stars in the AFCON in Cote d'Ivoire in January, which is virtually, let's say, 2 months away. In 2 months' time, the AFCON kicks off. And if you are the captain of the team, you don't want to be going to that tournament not being attached to a club. Personally, I would have gone ballistic. Even now, I still believe he should not be in the team that is going to be playing against Madagascar and Comoros, because I don't remember the last time he kicked the ball. And I'm shocked that the young man himself has accepted to be included in that team with all his years of experience.
Oh, you know, Andrea, he won't turn down.
No, he should not turn down per se, but there are times where you need to be very sincere and honest, looking at the rudiment, the requirement of what a footballer is supposed to go through before he can get onto the pitch and play football. You know that if the last time you played football was somewhere in May, and since May, you've never had any proper competitive football game. You don't rush into a very competitive
one. With Wakasu in the backyard, he's done some musical chairs.
That's it. I don't want to go there, but look, we saw those trainings on social media. Come on, man. They shouldn't have done that. But the most important thing is that he's now gotten himself a team. And personally, I'll be monitoring because it's about Ghana. If he's on form 20 minutes in the AFCON in the box.
Yeah.
You give him 2 chances.
He can get a goal out
He
of it.
puts 1 away or puts all 2 away.
True.
So because of that, I want to see him play. But it isn't a matter of just getting the team. That is the first step. The next step is for him to go in because you see,
And actually play matches.
I doubt whether he's going to even play matches because look, he's not gone through proper preseason.
True.
And the season have kicked off.
Yeah.
Some weeks,
Some are
12
in,
weeks,
some are in week 12, week 13.
11, week 13. If I am the coach he's come to be playing under, I don't think he plays for me until January. He's not going to kick a ball because I need to work on his fitness
and then he needs to even understand the system.
Understand the system before he kicks the ball. But look, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I'm happy he's gotten a team. At least he's now going to be training properly without the musical chairs, proper cones, proper rudiment in out, and then try to build and open his heart a bit more to allow him to be fit and perform. If he can prove his fitness, he's the most experienced player in the Black Stars. He's the leading goal scorer among the current group or crop of players. So he goes, but on condition that he proves that he's fit and he's playing regularly. So I'm happy he's gotten himself a team.
Edwin?
Yeah, exactly. I'm also happy that he's got a club. I feel that, unlike Coach, I feel he still has a role to play in the Black Stars.
Beyond 20 minutes?
Not beyond 20 minutes. I think Andre Ayew has to understand that...
I say he has a role to play in the Black Star if he's not playing or if he doesn't have a club?
No, he has.
That's always been my issue. You get a club, you play football, you play. Prove your man, then you come into the team. If not, you stay away.
I've always spoken about the leadership gap in the Black Stars. And as someone who has been with the team for over a decade, you expect him to exert some influence over his teammates. Maybe we've not seen enough, but maybe this is the time for him to show that. But I think he needs to understand that he's not a player who commands a starting role in any team. We saw that at Nottingham Forest. At the top teams, Andre Ayew is not going to start. But as coach said, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, he might come on, be an impact sub, maybe score a goal, maybe influence play a lot. And as he does that, build his confidence, build his stamina and his fitness. And then he gets into the Black Stars. Even for the Black Stars, he shouldn't start. I believe he shouldn't start. I believe he should be in the team, maybe play 10 minutes here, 15 minutes, we need a goal, he comes in, solves some issues. But I'm very happy that he's got a team because it was sad to see the captain of the Black Stars not with a proper team. And I think from here on, it's up to him to prove that he deserves to be in the squad.
So Andre Ayew has made his way to Le Havre in the French League 1. It's a place he knows very well. He was given a rousing welcome. The French people love Andre Ayew, I can tell you that for a fact. So he was given a really rousing welcome there. We wish him all the best in his endeavors at Le Havre. Hopefully, he can pick up some good form. And like the guys have said, he can be a very good impact sub or a good role player for the Black Stars going forward. Let's move it on and talk about some football. I can tell you that Prosper Nate Ogum is in hot waters. He called some players politicians during his last presser. Looks like he got some political football on display when they went to Samatex. They lost that game, and that game means that they've plummeted into the relegation zone. I'm not sure the last time Asante Kotoko experienced that, but let's get to the highlights of that one. Samatex Asante Kotoko, it ended in defeat for the Porcupine Warriors. Even before I go into any analysis of that game, I say that I'm happy that we are beginning to score from dead balls like this in our league. Last week, I saw a really well-worked dead ball from Dreams FC. This week, I've seen another one from Samatex Football Club. These are encouraging if you belong to this space because it doesn't happen a lot down here. Let me start with you, Edwin. Kotoko in the relegation zone now after that defeat. We've all agreed and said on this show multiple times that Nate needs time to probably get his house in order. But you and I also know that the more defeats, the more toxic the environment gets.
Well, I think it actually works the other way. The more toxic the environment around the club, the more it gets into the players' heads. And I don't think we talk about it enough. When the players, they hear the things being said about them, they hear the things being said about the club. Obviously, they get onto the pitch, second guessing themselves, unsure of themselves, losing confidence, losing games now, and then suddenly they've lost the trust of the fans, they've lost the trust of the hierarchy of the club, and now they are struggling to win matches. I think that Kotoko, I said it on Friday, that they are addicted to self-sabotage. When things go slightly wrong for them, and then everything falls. They pull one thread, and everything, they losing the cloth completely. And they need to learn from it. It's happened so many times. Sacking the coach when things go a little awry, having a go at players when they fail to score, put in a few bad performances, and then they lose the plot completely. I feel that even though they're in the relegation zone, in the last few weeks especially, they've started to play football in a way I expect Kumasi Asante Kotoko to play. At the start of the season, I was not very convinced by how they were playing. I was wondering whether the good football that Prosper Nate Ogum played in its first stint at the club was being translated into this team. But as coach has said several times, this is the team in transition. You're going to expect games or runs where the club doesn't win. The club doesn't score goals. The club concedes goals. And it will take some time to build a Kotoko team that...
He's played with a lot of teenagers and a lot of youngsters.
It will take some time to play with a team that Kotoko fans can be proud of. But if they give him time, if they allow him space, if the noise around the club is lessened to a very strong extent, and I know it's going to be difficult, Kotoko is a huge club. There are huge expectations for the club. But you need to understand that clubs go through phases. And this is a very transitional phase for Kotoko. It will take some time. The results are not good, but they will improve. With the football I'm seeing currently, I think the results will improve. So they just need to have some patience for Prosper Nate.
Patience for Nate, coach?
Look, I think Prosper Nate should resign if he knows very well
that there's sabotage.
He's not going to be given the free hand to work. For me, I know him personally.
From things he said, it points to what you're saying, that there are some forces who are,
in fact,
against him.
I'm so disappointed in the organigram of Kotoko, the hierarchy of Kotoko. Prosper Nate only accepted to go back
because of Kwesi Appiah.
Because of Kwesi Appiah. As to how they allow Kwesi Appiah to leave when Prosper had hardly settled in the job. Who is playing the role of Kwesi Appiah as we speak? Nobody knows. Okay? So now, Kwesi would have shielded Prosper and make sure he blocked.
Because he's a proper Kotoko man.
Of course, he would have blocked everything directed at Prosper and said, look, you just concentrate and work with the boys.
I will take care of these things.
He was given the mandate by the great chief of the land. And it was based on Kwesi recommendation, Kwesi 1v1 talking to Prosper. That was why Prosper accepted to go back. Now, Kotoko is undergoing transition. I listened to one of the renowned journalists in Kumasi, somebody who happens to have a problem with every Kotoko hierarchy the moment he's sidelined. I cannot put up his name here because he happens to be a good friend. So I called him from the back. I said, look, for once, you are so knowledgeable in the game that I expect that you will allow
the man
some space to operate. The man is using teenagers. Teenagers to play. And for Prosper to, like I said, if he's not going to resign, it's better he keeps his mouth shut and do the talking on the pitch. Tactically work with your team. Encourage them, motivate them, coach them through this difficult time. But if you are not going to keep quiet and work, but you're going to organize a press conference, which was completely unnecessary. I repeat. He shouldn't have done that. I don't know. That's what I'm saying, that when I listened or heard that he was going to do it, once I said, come on. If Kwesi Appiah was around, that presser
probably wouldn't have happened.
He wouldn't know. There was no need for that. We played in the game. We got beat. Our supporters are disappointed. End of story. The next opportunity, the next week, is an opportunity to win them back. So rather, focus on that. But once you go into a press conference and start referring to some of the players as politicians.
I'm sure they'll say,
is that so?
We'll see.
Maybe those guys you are referring to as politicians, you can tell them so in your office. But when you come public,
you don't make such comments.
You don't make such comment. You don't do that. So for me, look, I believe, given the chance, he will do a wonderful job. I've already said it on this program that Kotoko will not win the league. So to the supporters and the fans of Kotoko watching Scorecard, get it. You are not going to win the league with these guys. It's going to take you 2 to 3 seasons, provided you can keep all of them. That is when now they will now have gone through the various stages of development and begin to make an impact. You see, life is not all. If you are there and your only ambition is to impress, that is always temporary. But when you are there to impact, it is forever. Prosper Ogum is in there to impact. And impacting tactical awareness, proper coaching awareness to these boys, it is going to take time. So please, allow the man some space to operate and to prosper. Please, don't ever organize that press conference. Only go into a presser when there's the need to. Post-match, pre-match, post-match, talking. But
you have no business organizing a crisis.
What is that?
Crisis press conference.
I've never seen that happen. And look, it was very shocking to me that it came from somebody like him. So that is my personal advice to him. I know he watches this program very much. Please, coach the boys. They will come good.
They say Prosper Nate Ogum should focus on coaching the boys and they will come good. We'll have the text and WhatsApp lines on your screen just so you can share your thoughts with us. We want to know what you make of Asante Kotoko's issues. Those of you who are Asante Kotoko fans, let's hear from you because I really want to know where you stand with this particular team.
Just 1 minute. We must credit the team that beat them.
Samatex.
Yeah. They were absolutely brilliant.
Samatex are really formidable.
They were absolutely fantastic. And for me, even the little highlight, Kotoko had no highlight.
Literally none.
Nothing. They were on them and on them. That is how you play a team in crisis. You go and you stampede them. You suppress them and make sure they feel the pain. And for me, again, Danlad, I said it last week. I'm saying it again. I think if there's a better goalkeeper, a goalkeeper who commands his area better, a goalkeeper with a better reach in set pieces, that goalkeeper should be. Kotoko have got 3 very good goalkeepers. I don't know why it has to be Danlad.
Danlad has,
and he keeps conceding goals.
Danlad has now put on national team clout. So
no, but he has
become hard to get rid of.
You want to credit Kayeke, but Danlad should be saving that ball because where he was. That was what the boy is a routine.
But like you and I are saying, the reach is suspicious.
No,
you're not positioned properly.
His positioning is always on the line. I've not seen a goalkeeper who positions himself on the line. Come, just one step forward. That gives you a very narrow angle. And when you tip it, from where he's, even if it will hit
the post and enter the net. True.
What sort of goalkeeping is this? I mean, they should talk to him. If he cannot change him and get somebody better in there.
Well, Ibrahim Danlad, coach is certainly not happy with the performances that you have been putting out there. Like I said, I've been impressed with the consistency with dead balls that are being converted in our league. It means that we should see more of these things. I wonder if the coaches at the lower levels, coach level, even at the league levels are getting their players to get some practice in because, look, it's a big deficiency in our game as a nation in general. I don't know, coach, does that happen? Do like teams do specialist dead ball training for their players?
Throughout my years in working with coast football, it's something that I have always impacted. And at that level, the players are taught on how to take set pieces. Because you remember that when you play at the under 12 and under 14 level, some of the goalkeepers are very, very short.
Very short.
So players are told from the to hit it at this angle,
top corner,
hit it with this technique, put this level of power behind it and all that. So they are taught. It's just that as they leave the scene, the juvenile scene, that is where the problem is. And for me, it is like you rightly said, it is very nice and very pleasing to the eye to see those 2 free kicks that we've seen last week and this week. Our coaches have been encouraged to work more and more on set pieces.
Well, I definitely hope we can see more of that. I hope I think free kick is a practice thing. You need to practice on your own to get better at it. So hopefully our guys can do a lot more of it. Let's take a quick turn around here on Scorecard. When we come back, I'll be reading some of your messages and then we'll get into some Premier League action as well. It's been a really good game week. Stay with us here on Scorecard. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Scorecard here on Citi TV. Let's get into some Premier League action and let's start off with what was our early kickoff from the weekend. It was Tottenham Hotspur at the Molineux taking on Wolverhampton Wanderers. Tottenham, remember, had lost a couple of players to red cards and suspensions, a couple to injuries as well. So it was an improvised squad of some sorts. They looked like they were going to get the job done. Some way, somehow, they capitulated right at the end. Let's get the highlights of that game. So after picking up back-to-back Manager of the Month awards, that was not how Postecoglou was hoping to get this particular game week going. Remember, it's now been back-to-back defeats for a team that were unbeaten all season. Coach,
nobody saw that coming.
91st minute, 94th minute.
Nobody saw that coming. Look, we did the game on radio, and for me, you want to credit Wolverhampton because they went down very early. I think in the first 2 minutes, they considered the first goal, but they stuck in there, stuck to the game plan, was pushing and pushing and pushing. There were moments in that game where you felt that if they were a bit clinical, their striker.
I thought they were not going to be able to do it because of how many chances they were wasting.
And it's been like a trend. Anytime you watch them play, they do all the good things, but when they get in the final attacking tail, where they should be very composed, calm, and clinical, then they tend to flops their line. But yesterday, look, Spurs clearly showed that without Maddison, they are not the same team. Especially going forward. Because in midfield, they had Højbjerg, Bissouma, Sarr. These are rugged players. Players are described as very hard-hitting, hard-tackling,
interceptors and destroyers.
There's no ball juggler. Nobody would juggle. Nobody would get on the ball and go past 1, 2, 3.
And we saw a couple of final third incidents where a pass was either underhit, defender made the wrong, the attacker made the wrong decision.
You understand that if Maddison was there,
he would find
that is his territory. He would do what he's expected, then he would find the pass. They couldn't do that. But once it was always 1-0, the home team knew that the next goal was so important. They knew that they were still in it. And for them to have kept pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and the manner in which they scored that equalizing was absolutely brilliant. We were describing it. We look, it took our breath away when we saw it yesterday, when he executed it. The first touch, what a fabulous touch.
Pablo Sarabia,
control.
Former Real Madrid, he's a Real Madrid academy product.
So it's within him, isn't it? Because you don't go through the Real Madrid, the La Masia, and such things not capable. So he clearly showed. And what made it even more special, the fact that he was on the run. And it was a diagonal. So he was moving away from
that was absolutely amazing.
For him to
control with his weaker foot.
And then bang into the back of the net.
Sweet.
Look, I think it was so difficult a technique to execute. And for him to have done that, you want to credit. You see, that brought a bit more belief that look,
we could actually get something.
We could actually go and win it. And the supporters played their role. And for Lamina, I think he was the best player on the pitch. He was not only playing his role as a DM, as a holding midfielder,
he was getting forward.
But he was driving them through. He was getting forward. He was pushing them forward. And it was the icing on the cake to see him being on the end of such a very delicious move. All he needed to do was to make some form of contact with the ball and take it away from the goalkeeper. And for me, they are showing, Gary O'Neill is showing that he did say everybody should calm down. Once I work with them week after week, you will see my hand.
Because this is a team, I mean, just to even continue from where this is a team that have struggled with, other coaches have struggled with, especially when it comes to getting goals. What is your solution to Wolves getting back to the Jimenez heydays when they were scoring lots of goals, they were playing a lot of enterprise in football?
It's going to be difficult. And you look at Wolves, I want to talk about them for a second. In their last 7 games, they've beaten Manchester City, drawn with Aston Villa, drawn with Newcastle, and now beating Spurs. But in that run too, they've lost to Sheffield United.
That is the
so there's a bit of Chelsea in them. But this is Gary O'Neill's style. We saw it when he was in charge of Bournemouth. In the big games against the big teams, they turned up with a proper strategy. when they faced teams that they were either expected to beat or on their level, then they were all over the place. There wasn't a clear path to results in them. But in this game, we saw them, once Spurs took the lead, you would have expected any lesser team to crumble. They didn't. They stayed in the game for as long as possible.
Yeah.
And they were actually dominating Spurs in midfield. They were playing very, very good football. Even when they got the equalizer, you'd expect them to be okay with that result.
Yeah.
No, they were desperate to get the ball back in play, desperate to move forward, and they got the reward. For Spurs, you can talk about them missing Maddison, and yes, there was an impact there. You saw Heung-min Son, who, with Maddison in midfield, would be playing around the box.
Yeah.
In that game, he had to keep dropping back at certain points, allowing Brennan Johnson to rather take the more front spots. But Brennan Johnson is no Son.
He's not a finisher
He
either.
is not a finisher. He's not a finisher. One thing that affected them in this game and has been the problem in their last two games is game management from Postecoglou. Against Chelsea, we all saw it. That high line was ridiculous.
Yep.
They conceded 4.
Completely
And he defended it.
Should have conceded 11.
Yep.
In this game, they were 1-0 up against Wolverhampton Wanderers. 90th minute. Had the ball in their possession with Vicario. Usually teams will just kick it up front because you have players who can win the ball and maybe make something of it. They tried to play out of the back, lost the ball, it went out for a throw. And from that throw,
the goal
scored.
came.
And then they got a second. I feel that it's good to believe in your philosophy, good to believe in how you want to play. But at certain moments as a Premier League
It won't
manager,
spoil anything.
It won't spoil anything.
Especially
Just
when you are winning the game.
be pragmatic. A lot of coaches have found out the wrong way and been fired for it. Marcelo Bielsa being the most obvious
Stubborn
example
philosophy
of
guy.
of a stubborn manager. I don't think Postecoglou will go that same way. I hope he doesn't, because he's a good manager, good attacking manager. We need a lot more of that in the Premier League. But there are certain moments, and Pep Guardiola has switched to become, until this game, become a defensive.
Pep Guardiola used to be the tiki-taka guy. He has
Right
moved
now, he
away from it
understands defense.
completely.
You see, he understands the moment, the situation. What do we do here? What is the prevailing situation? How do we... That is what he understands.
I think that's a really good point you're raising, because now I'm actually beginning to ask myself if Postecoglou actually does have a plan B for his team. And if they start losing or they go on a losing skid, will he switch up this type of game plan, or will he stick to this?
This is the EPL. He can only be smart. He can only be smart.
Yep.
Anything apart from that, he will pay the price.
He'll pay the price.
It's as simple as that.
Ange Postecoglou, a word to the man up north. I'm sure you know what to do. Let's get to another game that was really interesting. It was Luton Town up against Manchester United. Man United, Ten Hag had come under a lot of fire in recent times. Well, guess what? He's racked up back-to-back wins in recent times. They appear labored, but he's getting the 3 points anyway. Let's check out the highlights of that game. Man United will not mind how that game was won. In the end, 3 points, clean sheets. That's all that matters, Coach.
That's what matters, actually. This team is struggling for confidence. This team is struggling for consistency. We all saw what happened to them in midweek, where they were in a comfortable lead.
Yep.
And they practically found a way to lose the game. Very typical of them of late in their DNA. So once they got the chance to play at Old Trafford, play against Luton Town, most people thought that Man United should have just gone in there 3-4. In fact, the chances were there to be taken.
Yeah.
If they are taking their chances, they should have won this game by a minimum of 3-0. But you see, at this current moment, what really matters is to amass enough points as possible.
Yeah.
When your team is not playing well, you can only do so by winning games when players start believing, start trusting in the system once again. The problem with Manchester United actually had to do with the fact that very early on in the season, Ten Hag has not been able to fill the same starting 11 for 3 weeks continuously. He's always had to change. And the changing has been such that it's been 2, 3, 4, 5 at times. So that breaks the chemistry in the team. So for me, look, It really doesn't matter how you win your football games. The most important thing is that you are winning to stay in touch or to have a clear sight of top 4. I believe that 3 of the top 4 slot is already gone. Man City will be there, Arsenal will be there, Liverpool will be there. So there's the 4th place.
One up for grabs.
One up for grabs. Depending on how Man City will perform in the Champions League, you could have 2 more teams joining the first 3, making it 5 for the Champions League next season. But as it stands now, I think the 4th spot is to be contested for by Man United, by Liverpool, Man United, Spurs, Aston Villa, Brighton, Newcastle. If Chelsea can put together some decent winning run, you want to fancy that. So all of them will be hoping and praying. The Man City, at least, I think if Man City were to get to the semi-finals, the EPL gets another slot into the Champions League. So that the first 5 will now get in. But look, having said that, it is the win that matters the most.
Edwin, Coach says something I want you to pick on. So he says United have been laboring through games. Now, with their injury situation, would you say this is a sign of a persevering team, or you'd say this is a sign of a team that are on the verge of hitting a struggle patch?
No, I think they are definitely a persevering team. Considering the fact that players are not scoring, their strikers are not scoring, confidence at the club is very low. There's a lot of noise there. Any team would crumble. Any team would lose focus, start losing a lot of games. But United are they are not putting in the performances, but they are getting the results. A 1-0 win over Fulham, 1-0 win over Luton. They might not scream good team. But these are 3 points. These are 6 points, regardless. And clean sheets in both games. So they are keeping the scores they are conceding low, at least in the Premier League. And they are getting 1 goal. They are getting the points anyway. For United, where Eric Ten Hag will be worried most is up front. So far this season, only Rashford has scored for them of the attackers.
Yeah, of all the
the form last season and this season are literally day and night. And so I was about to say that last season, when he was doing well, Benny McCarthy was credited with a lot of it and having done work with him. Do we say that Benny is sleeping on the job? What exactly is wrong with it?
Truth be told, the chances have been presented to the young man.
Look at that chance we saw from that Anthony opportunity. And last season, he
all those balls were in the back of the net.
That easily.
Last season,
he's
not taking. Yeah, I think it has to do with his confidence. And I think Ten Hag was asked, and he said, "Look, it has to do with his confidence. People shouldn't worry. They are working on it. He will come good. All he needs to do is to put 1 or 2 balls in the back of the net, and he start booming confidence again." And then he said, "Look at Rasmus Højlund. He scored 5 in the Champions League. He's yet to score in the Premier League." So again, he told everybody during his post-match conference that this is another player who just need 1 Premier League goal
to open the gates for him.
That's right. So it's a matter of confidence.
Yeah. So the confidence is a huge factor, and we saw it in how he took that chance. Rashford in 2023 takes that either first time or he doesn't dally on his second touch and he shoots into the back of the net. You go to the first chance that they had, Garnacho. He takes 3 touches. Garnacho takes 2, and he finds the back of the net. There's a lack of confidence going through the squad. And I would like to say it for Højlund, but he's getting his goals elsewhere. It's not the fact that he's missing chances, he's getting clear-cut chances that he's missing. His runs are very good, his movement is very good. Eventually, the goals will come for him. But the other players, is he getting enough support from the other players to take that focus off him? Anthony is not getting any goals. Garnacho is not getting any goals. Rashford is not getting any goals. Even Bruno Fernandes, the goals are trickling in for him. So there's a lot more focus on Højlund because he's supposed to be that number 9. But as coach has said several times that Højlund shouldn't have been United's number 9 for
he's 20 years. You don't
too much weight on his shoulders for such a youngster.
And you can compare him with a player like Nicholas Jackson at Chelsea. These are 2 young players who have been thrust into the limelight because the club either didn't get the target or didn't go for the right target to complement them as strikers.
Bad management.
On
the side of the Glazers. It's absolutely bad management.
Or injuries.
They don't want to spend money.
In the case of Chelsea. So these 2 young players who should be playing 1 game, 2 games every 5 games, starting 2 games every 5 games, and
now
starting
playing
every single
the game.
and now expected to score 30, 20 goals. It's not going to happen.
Well, teams need to recalibrate their expectations according to my panelists in the studio. Let's get to Arsenal Football Club. They were up against Burnley, and it looks like Burnley, really, if they don't get their act together, they probably will get relegated. It was Arsenal, and it was easy money, really. They just went out there, did the business, shut the door, and went home. Let's get the highlights of that game. So Arsenal making light work of Burnley there. Edwin, Arteta must be happy, but again, red card for Vieira.
Yeah, it's very worrying that in a game where you are very comfortable,
I never understand
there's really
these
nothing
things.
to play for, and you've just lost a player. You are already without Thomas Partey. You are overplaying Jorginho. Havertz is still, he's starting to play some good football, but he's still not fitting into that midfield structure. Odegaard is in and out. Maybe he might not be available. Vieira, this was his chance to show that, okay, he could be an alternative to the absences Arsenal have. So to get such a red card, very unfortunate for them. For Burnley, I am worried, and not just because of the results, but the results are terrible. We need to understand that. But how they defended for those Arsenal goals. You look at every single Arsenal goal was from a set piece, a corner kick.
Or a cross. The first one was from a cross of some sort,
Yes, into the box. And you look at how they are defending those set pieces. I wish we could go back, but maybe not.
I'm sure we can just have the highlights of that game just be rolling over the screen.
There's a reason why defenders push attackers away from their goalkeeper in set piece situations. It's to allow the goalkeeper freedom to come claim the ball, come and push it away, or at least make himself a presence in the box. Burnley did not do that. So if you could see the second goal and third goal for Arsenal, Rice was all over the goalkeeper. He was all over
Especially
him.
that Saliba goal. They literally, you could tell they literally blocked him off from coming to get anything.
And that was only one issue I had with the Burnley defense. They were marking zonally at a point. They had 3 players marking each Arsenal player who was running in. But then there were about 4 players marking zonally in the 6-yard box. And those were their stronger headers of the ball. Those 3 were they are weaker headers of the ball. So the Arsenal defenders who were running in were basically running in uninterrupted. So they had a clear run into the 6-yard box. And of course, when you are running into the box, you have momentum. So you are able to get onto the end of these crosses better. So Burnley need to watch it. And it was the same for the final 2 goals. They need to watch their defending from set pieces. And it's not just Arsenal who were taking advantage. They had several other opportunities that they could have scored from. Kai Havertz had one header that he didn't take advantage of. There was one with another Trossard chance that he didn't take advantage of. Other teams are beginning to notice. I've seen a pattern in the losses that they've had recently, where teams have targeted Burnley at set pieces as one way we can get at this team. And already you are not scoring. They've got 9 goals. They've conceded 30.
For me, I agree 100%. What is even shocking is the fact that they have been coached by one of the best defenders in the Premier League.
It's shocking.
When he was Vincent Kompany.
He's an all-timer.
When he was the leader.
He's a Hall of Fame Premier League defender.
Of course, when he was the leader at Man City with the captain's armband, how many times did we see Man City concede from a set piece? And he was the pivot in defending set pieces. So one would have thought that now that you are the manager,
you bring that experience to bear.
That was your department, young man. Get them to do better. Like this, they are going down, down, down.
You would think Kompany was Zlatan Ibrahimovic or Raul Gonzalez, the way Burnley played their football. Let's take a break here on the show. When we come back, I have messages that I'll read, and then we'll get to 2 really thrilling games. Liverpool, first of all, and then the classic, that Chelsea game versus Manchester City, all to come here on Scorecard. Stay with us. Welcome back to Scorecard here on Citi TV. My name is Benjamin Nketiah. Coach Christopher Nimley and Edwin Kwakofi are in the studio with me. Let me read out a few of your messages that have been coming through, and then we will get to more highlights. So a couple of messages have actually come through. Let me get to it right away. This one here says that Cole Palmer scored the 4th goal for Chelsea today in a 4-4 draw against Man City in the 94th minute. It's his 4th goal for Chelsea from 4 penalties, and thanks to his goal, Chelsea now has 4 wins, 4 draws, and 4 losses with 4-by-4 points this season. Actually, this guy. Okay. He says, I'm a United fan through and through, but I just love to watch good football being exhibited and executed by top-notch managers. Ernest Isco Depay from Havre Government Hospital. So you are Ernest, you are Isco, and you are Depay as well. Very interesting. Fred from Sunyane says that when the fundamentals are weak, small teams will expose you. The owner of Asante Kotoko, Tumfo Seitutu, should invest much of his money in the club. How can a club like Kotoko not have a clubhouse for players? I'm saying so because where I meet some of the players buying cocoa and other foods is so worrying. And also, where they even stay is really, really far. We all know Nana is rich, but he should invest more into the club. Okay, this one here is from Reina Jr. from Kwabre East. Says, I think Ghanaian referees are better than Yanum. It says into brackets, English referees. If our referees get the chance to use VAR, they'll do better than them 200%. Anthony Taylor, it's a shame. You say, talking about VAR, Pogmore say that they are advertising for new VAR officials. I find that absolutely hilarious. They say they are advertising for new VAR officials. Kili Kwame from Adenta. Kili was at the road show at Oliver Twist. Big ups to Kili. Big road show guy. Always comes through for us. He says, it's good Liverpool are back in the title race. They are better title chasers than those two London teams. Liverpool will win the EPL this season. PY from Kumasi says, I will love it if coach commented on John Mina's death, knowing the footballer had heart issues, and as a coach, his advice for footballers with such conditions. I beg him to rejoin Man United since they have been named as the Premier League team with the most accumulated points currently. I'm sure coach can share a word or two on advice for players at the end of the show. Kwesipa from Breman Esikuma says, I think Palmer has got ice in his veins. 21-year-old lad taking a 95th minute penalty against no less a team than Man City, which happens to be his former team. It's quite the feat. They stole our De Bruyne. We have taken their future. Interesting. I find that interesting. This one here says, Klopp coached a 5-0 win with a clean sheet, but VAR, Mo Salah, Jota's rocket landed at Anfield, Nunez robbed Endo, Wataru, and Simikas. VVD is still the Rolls-Royce Phantom defender. 3 points and second on the table. We move into the international break. Able Minister Emmanuel from Cove City. So those are some of the messages that are coming through so far. Let's get back to the highlights. Let's get to that Liverpool game against Brentford. Darwin Nunez will probably be asking himself a few questions, but in the end, Liverpool won 3 points in the bag. Liverpool winning by 3-0 against a Brentford who had been buoyant in recent times. Coach, Liverpool seem to have all the markers of a team that can contest for a title, but sometimes they just leave you wondering with some of their performances. Today, though, was not one of those.
Yeah, I think if they can improve upon their defending, because today, truth be told, Brentford should have taken the lead. We just saw from the highlight that that in Wembley chance against
that should have been
put away. If Liverpool can work on their defending and get Darwin Nunez to score regularly, I think they are the team to challenge Man City, not Arsenal. Arsenal is going to fall short because of the fact that they don't have a natural goal scorer in the team. Nketiah is not a natural goal scorer. Gabriel Jesus hasn't scored 18 goals. He's been in the English Premier League for so long a time. I think he's been there for more than 5-6 years. Yes. He's not scored 18 goals a season. He hasn't done that before. And I'm not sure he's going to be. Now that 1-2, there's injury, the next moment he plays 2-3 weeks, he's injured, he goes off, come back and that. He's not going to score that. But Liverpool did a professional job today. They knew the opponent. They knew how difficult Brentford can be. So what they made sure was the fact that they were to score first. Put Brentford in the position where they have to chase the game, not when they've got something to protect and therefore they will call into that very difficult back 2 banks of 5 and make it very difficult for the opponent to break them down. Once Mbeumo didn't take the chance and Salah took his, it was Liverpool to lose. And the second goal came at the right time. You see, me, I love coaches who will tell their players what the situation is, what is likely to happen, and what they should do to make sure it always goes into their favor. And if you look at that Liverpool team in the second half, the moment the ref blew the game for the commencement of the second half, they just went for Brentford, made sure they gave them no breathing space until they got the job done. And tactically, I think the boys from Japan,
Yes.
Wataru Endo.
Look, he was very steady. He was very super. He didn't complicate issues. Receive pass, avail it himself, receive pass. That is what you need in the defensive midfielder. When the ball comes to you, set the tone for the rest of the team to follow. You just wait. When they lose the ball, then you quickly go in there and sort it out. You win it back, you give it to them. And that was exactly what he did today. Salah scored his 200th goal today in English football. Look, by far, I think nobody argues that. He's the best African player ever to have played in that league.
Edwin, your takeaways from that game?
Look, I think Liverpool approached the game very, very strongly. Having Nunes, Jota, Salah, and Gakpo in the game from the start, it showed their intent. They wanted to score Brentford as quickly as possible. They wanted to get as many goals as possible because, as coach said, they knew how dangerous their opponent was. One chance and Brentford gets the opening goal. It's going to be very difficult to come back into it. The fact that Klopp decided to play Endo in that defensive midfield position, it allowed the presence of Gakpo. It allowed more players to go forward because you had that solidity in midfield along with Szoboszlai. You had people who could possess the ball, people who could pass the ball, and people who could progress the ball. So that was very important going forward. And they were able to establish that dominance and keep it at a high level throughout the game. There was no point after that Brentford chance that I felt that Liverpool were going to let this slip. And that is very important for Liverpool going forward. You need to keep that dominance and assert yourself on certain teams. And Brentford was that team today.
Liverpool, remember, had lost in the Europa League to Toulouse. They needed to respond, and that was an appropriate response. Let's get to the game, I think the game of the season so far. And there have been quite a number of good games this season. So it was Chelsea at the Bridge, where it had become a little wobbly lately. Teams had gotten away with results. Manchester City were visiting. Everybody thought that this was going to be a thrashing. Well, I thought that Chelsea had something in them. They've shown this season that they can really, really match it up with the big teams out there. And that's exactly what happened. Reminding everybody that they are a big team themselves. Let's get the highlights of that game. It was 4-4, a Premier League classic. Yeah, Cole Palmer is big time. That's as big a penalty as you can take as a youngster.
Exactly.
Coach, let me start off with you. I'm sure as a technical man, you were tearing your hair out just watching all those defensive errors and goals going in back and forth.
Look, if you are neutral, you will enjoy the football. But if you are not a neutral like someone like me who looks at every detail, you will not be happy. Especially with the level of defending. At this level, this is the best level of the game. This is by far the best league in the world, the most competitive league in the world. And you expect that teams will earn the right to dominate their opponent. You don't present to your opponent things on the silver platter. The game we watched today, I think about close to 4 or 5 of the goals could have been avoided. But before I look into that, coming into the game, nobody saw this game was going to end in 4-4. I did predict that Man City would deal with Chelsea hands down. But there are certain things you say before. Now, based on what is happening, then you have to revise your note. Look, truth be told, I highlighted the importance of Enzo Fernandez, Moise Caicedo, and then Gallagher. I said, if Chelsea were to have any right whatsoever in this game, they needed to show Rodri and then Bernardo Silva and the Argentine boy, Alvarez, that they were in for a busy day. And they showed exactly that. The only time they went to sleep, that was when Man City scored that 3rd goal. And that was what I think Enzo paid the price for that. Because if you look at the transition, there was absolutely no reason why he was not in possession tactically. So Mauricio Pochettino, you could clearly see he was very angry when they considered
He was
that
very
goal.
upset.
So he needed, whoever was responsible for that, needed to pay the price. But Chelsea showed lots of bravery. Look, by far, Man City is the best team in the world. Nobody argues that. Because, look, when you force them back this way, when you peg them back this way, then it means you are also sending a very strong message across. And I was so impressed with whatever Chelsea did. Every Chelsea player was up for it. I did say that for Chelsea to give themselves any chance whatsoever, every player needs to play 110%. And I think the likes of Raheem Sterling, Cole Palmer, he was absolutely brilliant today. I don't remember the last time in the Premier League I saw a winger deal with Kyle Walker this good. I mean, he dealt with him.
I can remember
He won every battle. He went past him as if he was not there. And the moment you are pushing Kyle Walker back, you are pushing one of Man City's biggest attacking threat backwards. And for me, look, Mauricio Pochettino has been handed a very young team. I have said it here. They will not win the league. I have said this there. If care is not taken, they may not make Champions League football. But next season, if they can go toe-to-toe with all the big teams and get somebody like Victor Osimhen in this team, a player who will not be so much worried about the build-up play, they want to always be there waiting for the chance to put the ball in the back of the net, then we'll begin to see Chelsea very differently. On the part of Pep Guardiola, I was very disappointed, especially when they went 4-3 up. A typical Man City team that we've all come to get used to will get that ball off Chelsea
and keep it.
Play them to submission. That is why he's invested over 1 billion in this team over the years since he's been there. He's been there for, I think this is 8th year. So if you have spent that amount of money, you should be able to control the situation, especially when the advantage is in your hand. And for me, as to how Broha find himself in the box all alone by himself, receiving the pass such that Ruben Diaz will have to dive into the tackle, thinking that the guy was going to blast the ball, and because he dummied him, caused the penalty. I think it had to do with the coach. At that moment, even if you won't dominate the ball, keep every player in the defensive block and see whatever. Because Chelsea, they were very wounded. The supporters thought that they could get a result, get something out of it. So stay in position, keep your shape, proper defensive line cover, and repel. At that stage, 3-4 minutes, it's all about repelling whatever they will throw at you and see the game through. They didn't do that, and I believe Pep Guardiola, for once, let his team down.
Edwin?
Look, first of all, I'd like to say that this game is an advertisement on why the number 9 is absolutely necessary in football. You look at one end, Erling Haaland, the positions he got into, where he was for the first goal, the penalty, where he got the penalty, and where he was for the tap-in. Absolutely brilliant. And Nicholas Jackson, we don't say this much of him, but today, where he was for his goal, that is where he should usually...
That is where he should be.
That is where he should be. All the time. To take advantage of rebounds, spills, and he was there. Back to the game, Chelsea fans will be happy, obviously. You get a point against probably the best team in the world. Play very, very well. But if I were a Chelsea fan, I'd be disappointed that my team didn't get 3 points in this game.
How so?
Man City did not outplay Chelsea in any aspect of the pitch.
True.
We've been talking about how City have not played their best this season. And it's because they play very well in phases this season. There are 10 to 15 minute stretches in games where City are absolutely dominant, where if they manage to get one goal, they'll get a second, they'll get a third.
Then they can go still for like a while.
Yes, there are phases of the game where they are not playing well, or they allow the other team control of the game. And other teams have taken advantage of that. Wolves, for example, they took advantage of these phases where City were not at their best.
Arsenal did same.
Arsenal did same. I've seen Brighton when they scored their goal. They did that. West Ham scored. They didn't take advantage of the other players' moments in the game. In this game, there was not one single moment that City had control of the game for like 5 minutes, for 10 minutes. Chelsea stifled them in every aspect. The goals that Man City scored, first goal, lack of concentration on Kukureya's part. Second goal, which was
that was the Ikanji header.
Akanji header.
Unacceptable.
Loss of concentration.
Literally everybody
right
just lost
at
it in the box.
right at the end of the half, where
free header.
the Chelsea players felt that they were going into the half ahead.
True.
The third goal, Haaland's goal, right at the start of the second half, where the Chelsea players were coming from the break,
Still excited.
knowing that they had basically outplayed Man City in that first half, and thinking they were going to do the same in the second half. The fourth goal Man City scored, a deflection.
Yeah.
Chelsea came into this game with a proper strategy, and you look at how Pochettino set up. It wasn't a full pitch press.
No.
They didn't press in the City half.
At all.
The moment City crossed the half of the pitch, you saw Conor Gallagher, you saw Enzo Fernandez, Moises Caicedo picking up players, blocking spaces, and creating basically a vacuum that City had to operate in. So we saw a lot of misplaced passes from City going
I think Man City in this game needed a Sergio Aguero, a number 9 who's also good
With the ball.
with the ball. Haaland isn't that good.
Typically, they'll get that from Alvarez, but today he was literally stifled out of
He
this
was
game.
stifled
He
because
could not get enough touches on the ball
That
to impact
Chelsea
the game.
midfield was right on the money, and they did so to force mistakes from City where they could take the ball and in transition attack. They had Reece James on the right. They had Raheem Sterling on the left. They were taking advantage of the fact that Nicholas Jackson is always on his feet, ready to run at players and take defenders away. And because of that, Conor Gallagher had a chance to stay on the edge of the box, where he could take advantage of any rebounds, take some shots in. There were moments where Cole Palmer could have made a quick decision to pass to him, cross the ball to him, or square to him for him to take the shot. It didn't happen in the first half, but they did more of that in the second half, which led to one of the goals Chelsea scored. So I don't think Chelsea were outplayed in this game. I felt they could have won this game. Just like they could have won against Arsenal and against Liverpool. They did against Spurs. But this is what they expect, Chelsea fans expect their team to do against the smaller clubs. And hopefully after the international break, we'll see a little more.
Malo Gusto could have gotten a goal. It was a really poor finish. He got a really good chance.
He's concentrating on braiding his hair. You see, today he came with a new hairstyle. I don't know what is wrong with him.
Let's get to the Spanish La Liga, and let me show you highlights of 2 games that happened this weekend. Real Madrid Football Club, like I said, they were without Jude Bellingham when they were up against Valencia. It was light work for them nonetheless. They managed to win that game. Barca had to come from a goal down to win in their game against Alaves. So back-to-back highlights, and then we'll round it up here on the show. So the Brazilians really were on show for Real Madrid. It was Valencia, you know. You would think it was just some small team somewhere. Valencia being taken apart. Like, let me just take final thoughts from my guys in the studio. Your catch for the weekend. I mean,
it has to be the 4-4.
4-4, eh?
Look, we didn't see that coming, and we all did enjoy it. Look, it was super football executed by 2 very good teams.
Edwin?
Well, to tell you how exciting that game was, you can hear my voice. I sounded because I was screaming throughout the game. That's how exciting the game and the entire roadshow was. So a wonderful weekend.
It was absolutely lovely. Let me read a few messages to close out the show. Abu Trika from Adenta. I didn't know Abu Trika was in Adenta. I thought he was in exile somewhere. It says Cole Palmer's first season at Chelsea and has already scored against Arsenal, Tottenham, and Manchester City in just 12 matches. Better than Kai Havertz in his first season at Chelsea. Very good signing. He just had to go there. This was from Philip from Dansoman. Says Chelsea really deserved a win. Daniel from Papao. Okay, let me just read another message here. He says he wanted to know which club Nimli coaches. Well, Nimli coached in the Division 1.
There is no need for that. This is something I've been asked several times.
Yeah, and he's explained several times as well. Evans from Smith, I like this message. He says, my wife went outside to celebrate Rodri's goal. On her way back to the charting room, she found me on the passage, also going out to celebrate Palmer's final goal. We all came back to finish the match. What a game. I think that sums up what kind of game it was and what kind of weekend it was as well. Again, big shout outs to the people at Oliver Twishak. Big shout outs to all of you who managed to make it out there. Keep an eye out. After the international break, we have a roadshow coming. There's a Liverpool-Man City game and then Newcastle-Chelsea coming. Good weekend for a roadshow. So just keep an ear out and an eye out for that one. Thank you very much, Coach. Thank you very much, Edwin. Thank you to all the crew that made this one happen. Directors, lights, sound, and everybody. My name is Benjamin Nketia. The show will repeat tomorrow. So catch it then. Until then, we'll be here next week with Scorecard.